The vanishing fleets, the Verith Dominion had explored half the galaxy. They were proud, ancient, and powerful, but even their strongest ships feared one place. A dark region at the edge of known space, a place they called the Outer Silent Sector. For many cycles, no one entered this region without reason. It was quiet, too quiet, no signals, no traffic, no colonies. Only a strange emptiness that made even hardened soldiers uneasy. Then the disappearances began. First one scout ship vanished, then an entire patrol fleet. Then 2 more exploration groups. The Dominion sent rescue teams. But they never returned. No debris, no lifeboats. No black box signals, nothing. It was as if the ships had been erased from the universe. Fear spread among the Verith people. Whispers began in the great halls of government. Some blamed pirates, some blamed unknown alien empires. But most pointed their fingers at one species. Humans. Humans were new to the galaxy. Their rise was sudden and unexpected. Their technology advanced faster than Verith scholars predicted. And most importantly, humans lived right next to the Silent Sector. That alone was enough to make the Verith suspicious. So the Dominion High Council made a decision. They launched a large investigation fleet. The war cruiser Spear of Inquiry would lead the mission. Its crew was elite, its commander was respected. Its task was simple: enter human space, find the missing fleets, and discover the truth. But deep inside, everyone felt the same fear. What if they never came back either? The Spear of Inquiry glided through hyperspace. Its engines hummed quietly. Its shields glowed with blue light. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Commander Relvac stood on the command deck. He was tall, sharp-eyed, and known for cold logic. He studied the star maps carefully. He listened to his officers' reports. But there was something in his mind too, a worry he did not show. "Status on long-range scans?" Relvac asked. "Nothing yet," replied Officer Yalara. "Only static beyond the sector boundary," another officer added. "The same pattern from the missing fleets," Relvac frowned. Static meant interference, but this was unnatural. It felt like something was blocking their systems on purpose. As they reached the border of the Silent Sector, the crew looked out through the observation screens. They saw absolute darkness, no stars, no dust clouds, no signals. Only a black emptiness that seemed to swallow light. "Enter," Relvac commanded calmly, even though his heart tightened a little. The moment the Spear of Inquiry crossed the boundary, the ship shuddered, lights flickered, sensors spiked. The crew grabbed onto their stations. "Report," Relvac demanded. "Commander." "We are detecting something," Yalara whispered. "Something old. What is it?" "A distress signal." The entire bridge froze. A distress signal in this region could only mean one thing. One of their missing ships was still out here. "Source?" Relvac asked. "It is coming from 3,000 kilometers ahead, but the signal is weak, almost broken." "Play it," Relvac ordered. A cracked voice echoed through the speakers. "This is Captain Varys of the exploration ship Cora 7. We were attacked. Unknown enemy. Cannot escape?" Then silence. The crew exchanged terrified looks. This was a recording from a ship that vanished 60 years ago. How is the signal still active? Relvac kept his voice steady. "Locate the ship." "We cannot," Yalara said. "It is not a ship, Commander. It is coming from a structure." "A structure," Relvac repeated slowly, "in the Silent Sector." "Yes," Yalara replied. "And Commander, it is massive." The Spear of Inquiry moved forward. Every meter increased the crew's tension. They passed through the emptiness until something began to appear. At first it looked like shadows, then the shadows became shapes. Then the shapes became horrifyingly clear. A giant artificial object floated in the darkness. A twisted maze of metal and broken hulls, a structure built from the remains of dozens, maybe hundreds of ships from many species. Including Verith vessels, the crew stared in shock. "By the stars," whispered an engineer, "it is a graveyard." "No," Relvac said quietly. "It is something else, something built." His eyes scanned the monstrous structure. It was hundreds of kilometers wide, made of welded ship parts, bent armor plates, destroyed reactors, and fused metallic bones. At its center was a glowing core, pulsing like a heartbeat, alive. Yalara's voice trembled as she spoke. "Commander, the core is active. It is drawing power from the remains of our ships." Relvac slowly stepped forward. His voice low, controlled. "Send a deep scan." The moment the scan pulse hit the structure, the core flared bright. A deep vibration shook the spear of inquiry. Lights dimmed. A low metallic groan echoed across the void. As if the structure had awakened, Yalara screamed, "Commander, something inside is moving." Relvac stared at the monstrous creation, his voice almost a whisper. Now we know why the others never returned. He didn't realize yet that this was only the beginning. He didn't know the truth hidden inside the structure. He didn't know the humans had already fought this thing before and paid the price, but soon he would, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The silent colossus, the monstrous structure, floated in the darkness like a dead giant watching its prey. The crew of the Spear of Inquiry stared at its massive form with a mix of fear and disbelief. No one spoke for several seconds. The bridge was filled only with the low hum of ship systems and the quiet breathing of officers trying not to panic. Commander Relvac finally broke the silence. "Begin a full external scan," he ordered. His voice was calm, but the tension in his eyes betrayed him. Officer Yalara's fingers shook as she activated the deep scan pulses. Blue waves of sensor light moved across the structure's broken hull. Pieces of ship fragments spun slowly around it like ghosts caught in eternal orbit. "Scan results coming in now," Yalara said softly. "There are Verith ships in there." And not only Verith ships. The crew looked at the display as images appeared. Wrecks of dozens of species were fused into the enormous structure. Some vessels looked torn apart by claws, some were melted as if by extreme heat. Others were bent and twisted in ways that made no logical sense. The structure was not just a graveyard. It was a construction made from the destruction of entire fleets. Relvac frowned deeply. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Who would build such a thing?" No one had an answer. Yalara continued reading the data. "Commander, the core of the structure is producing energy. It is drawing power from broken reactors and stripped engines." "Is there life inside?" Relvac asked. She checked again. "Not life," she replied. "Movement." That single word froze the entire bridge. The ship moved closer. Its powerful lights illuminated the strange metallic surface. The structure stretched far beyond visual range. Parts of it resembled alien architecture. Other parts looked like they were grown rather than built. Engineer Kareth stepped up beside Relvac. "Commander, the patterns on the hull. They are not made by any species we know. These markings look biological. Almost like veins." Relvac stared at a section where the metal pulsed slowly. Like something breathing, he felt a cold heaviness in his chest. "Maintain distance," he ordered quickly. "Do not approach any closer." But the ship had already moved within scanning range. The structure reacted almost instantly. A deep rumble passed through space. Metal plates shifted and rearranged. Thunder-like vibrations echoed even through the Spear of Inquiry's hull. Yalara's voice rose in panic. "Commander, something is waking up inside. Shields to maximum," Relvac ordered. "Prepare weapons. Do not fire unless necessary." The display screens flickered for a moment. Then a new shape appeared inside the structure's inner chamber. It was large, metallic, and shaped like a pod. It began to open slowly. Like a flower blooming in darkness. Focus cameras on that object, Relvac said. His voice was a low growl now. The crew obeyed, though fear trembled in their hands. When the pod fully opened, something drifted out. At first it looked like floating debris. Then the camera zoomed in. The bridge fell silent. The object was a helmet, a Verith helmet. It had claw marks across the visor, scratches that were not made by tools or weapons known to them. The crew felt dread crawl up their spines. If that is all that remains, someone whispered shakily. What happened to the rest of the crew? Relvac didn't respond. He didn't want to imagine the answer. Yalara suddenly gasped as a new wave of data flashed across her screen. Commander, I am detecting a transmission from inside the structure. Relvac turned instantly. What kind of transmission? A single repeating signal, she said. It matches the frequency from our missing fleets. Play it, Relvac ordered. Everyone braced themselves. The speakers crackled with static first. Then a faint voice emerged. Exhausted and broken, this is Captain Varys. We could not stop it. We tried to seal it. But it learned. It adapted. If you receive this message, do not approach. Do not enter. The core, it is awake. The message cut off after that. Silence filled the bridge. No one dared to speak. Then the structure moved again. This time more violently. Huge metal plates folded back, revealing an inner ring of the Colossus. Lights inside flickered like dying stars. Something huge began to rotate, slowly at first, then faster. Energy readings on Yellow's console spiked to dangerous levels. Commander, the core is powering up, she shouted. It is building a charge. What kind of charge? Relvac asked quickly. Unknown, she answered, but the energy levels match. A weapon. The crew stared at her, horrified. A weapon built from the remains of hundreds of ships, a weapon powered by unknown technology. A weapon awakening after decades of silence. Relvac clenched his fists. We need answers, he muttered. And we are not alone here. He tapped the console and activated external communications. Send a sector-wide hail, he ordered. Any species, any ship, any station within range. Someone must know what this thing is. A second later, the speakers crackled sharply. A new voice entered the bridge. Firm, clear, and unmistakably human. Unknown Verith vessel, the voice said. This is Terran Defense Outpost Theta 5. You are in extreme danger. The entire crew stiffened in surprise. Humans here, watching the same structure. Relvac's eyes narrowed. His mind raced. The truth was closer than he thought, and humans were about to reveal part of it. The human warning the moment the human voice echoed through the bridge. The entire Verith crew froze. They had expected silence, or danger, or maybe even an attack. But they did not expect a calm human warning floating through the speakers like a cold breath in the dark. Commander Relvac straightened. His eyes locked on the communication screen as the human repeated the message. Unknown Verith vessel. This is Terran Defense Outpost Theta 5. You are in extreme danger, Relvac replied with controlled firmness. This is Commander Relvac of the Verith Dominion. Identify yourself. A brief pause followed. Then the human spoke again. I am Commander Elias Ward, Terran Defense Network, and you need to retreat immediately. The bridge filled with uneasy murmurs. Retreat? The Verith had never retreated from anything. Certainly not from an unknown structure they came to investigate. Relvac's voice grew colder. State your reason. Human, Ward answered without hesitation. That thing in front of you is not a natural object. And it is not debris. It is a harvester beacon. The word struck the Verith officers like a physical blow. They had never heard this term before, but the tone in Ward's voice told them it meant something terrible. Relvik frowned. "Explain," he demanded. "We believe humans built this to destroy our fleets." Ward's reply came sharp and without emotion. "If humans had built this, you would not be talking to me right now." Yalara exchanged nervous glances with the crew. There was no pride or threat in the human's tone, only urgency and exhaustion. As if he had said these words far too many times before, Relvik stepped closer to the screen. "Then tell us what destroyed our ships." Ward's voice grew heavier. "The same thing that destroyed ours?" A deep silence followed. Every officer on the Verith bridge felt a sudden chill. Ward continued. "This structure is a beacon created by a species we call the Harvesters. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They do not seek territory. They consume." The word echoed in the silence like a slow heartbeat. "Consume." Relvik tried to keep his expression steady. "And where are the Harvesters now?" There was another pause. This one longer. He could almost hear Ward take a slow breath. "They are asleep," Ward said quietly. "For now." Suddenly the structure outside gave a deep groan. A vibration carried through the hull of the Spear of Inquiry. Panels shook. Warning lights flickered. As if something inside the Colossus was trying to wake, Yalara shouted, "Commander! The inner core is heating up. The structure is reacting to our scan pulses." Ward immediately raised his voice. "Verith vessel, stop all scans. Do not use active sensors. You are feeding it energy," Relvik signaled his officers. The ship instantly cut all active scans. The vibration slowed but did not stop. Ward's voice softened. "You should not be here," Relvik replied sharply. "Our fleets vanished in this region. We demand answers." "You will get them," Ward responded. "But first you need to survive." The screen flickered. Ward entered a command code. A tactical map appeared on the Verith display. Large red zones pulsed across the silent sector. "These are regions we have marked as contaminated by Harvester activity," Ward said. "We have been fighting them for years. We have lost entire battalions, and no one else in the galaxy knows." The Verith officers stared in disbelief. Humans fighting some unknown monster in isolation, no announcements, no alliance requests, no warnings to the galaxy. Relvik narrowed his eyes. "If you have been fighting this alone, why not tell us?" Ward's voice lowered. "We tried," he said quietly. "Your governments did not listen." The words hit with painful truth. The Verith Dominion had dismissed human warnings many times. They thought humans exaggerated threats. They thought humans were weak, primitive, unimportant. Now their fleets were missing. Now they faced the truth. Yalara spoke in a trembling voice. "Commander, new readings. The structure is reaching 70% power on its main core. It is preparing to send a signal." Ward's tone turned sharp and cold. "If it completes that charge, it will call the swarm. Thousands of Harvester drones will arrive in minutes." A wave of fear rippled through the bridge. Even Relvik felt his hands tighten. "What do you suggest?" he asked. His voice steadier than he felt, Ward answered immediately. "Let us handle the beacon. We have protocols, weapons, and countermeasures." "You do not." Relvik stared at the structure. At the glowing core, at the moving shadows, at the fused remains of their own ships, and he realized something. Humans were not lying. They were warning. "And they were afraid too, Commander Ward," Relvik said. "What happened to our fleets?" Ward's voice dropped into a slow, heavy tone. "They ran, and we tried to save as many as we could." The Verith crew froze. Relvik felt a sharp ache in his chest. "And the others," he whispered. "What became of them?" Ward answered with a painful honesty. "The Harvesters took them, before anyone could speak." A violent shockwave shook both the human and Verith sensors. The beacon's core flared bright red. The structure unfolded further like a waking nightmare. Ward shouted. "They are waking up. Brace yourselves," and the silent sector trembled. The swarm awakens. The beacon's core glowed brighter. A red pulse spread across its twisted metal surface like blood moving through veins. The air inside the Spear of Inquiry felt heavier. Every officer sensed the same thing. Something ancient was waking. Commander Relvac gripped the railing. "Status," he demanded. His voice shook for the first time since entering the silent sector. Yalara stared at her console with wide, terrified eyes. "Commander." "The structure is opening." The screen showed it clearly. Massive plates of fused ship wreckage shifted, torn holes rotated into place. Metal tendrils unfolded like the limbs of a creature rising from deep sleep. And inside those shifting layers, dark shapes moved. Relvic felt a cold wave travel down his spine. Magnify. The view zoomed in. What they saw made even veteran soldiers gasp. Dozens of insect-like machines crawled along the structure's outer hull. Their bodies were long, armored, and filled with glowing red channels. They moved with awful precision, each one repairing parts of the beacon as if following a single mind. Engineer Kareth whispered softly, "It is alive. It is not a machine." "Not completely." Yalara's hands trembled. "Commander, I count more than 500 drones, and more are emerging." The swarm kept crawling, fixing, rebuilding, strengthening the structure, preparing for something. Then a new voice filled the bridge. It was Commander Elias Ward again. "Verith vessel. Listen carefully. You are witnessing harvester drones. They are repair units. And if the beacon powers up fully, it will call the main swarm." Relvac swallowed hard. "How many are in the main swarm?" Ward hesitated. "The last swarm we faced had more than 70,000 drones. And that was only a scouting group." The Verith bridge fell silent. The silent sector suddenly felt too small. Too dark, too deadly. Relvac steadied himself. "What do we do?" he asked. Ward did not waste time. "We are calling in Terran warships. We will destroy the beacon before it activates." Yalara blinked in disbelief. "You are going to fight it?" "We have no choice," Ward replied. "If we run, the beacon will still call them." Then something unexpected happened. A ripple of blue light appeared on the horizon, another, then another. Dozens of hyperspace signatures ripped open the void. Terran ships emerged, sleek, dark, and heavily armored. Their hulls carried scars from battles no Verith had ever heard about. Some ships had entire sections replaced with newer metal. Others carried giant anti-swarm cannons mounted like steel wings. Relvac stared in shock. He had never seen human ships like these. Not in official files. Not in intelligence reports. Not anywhere. "What are those vessels?" he asked. Yalara responded quietly. "These designs. They are unknown. They are not in any of our records." Ward's voice returned. "They are classified Terran anti-harvester warcraft. We built them after our first losses." The way he said losses made the Verith crew's hearts tighten. Humans had clearly paid dearly and silently for years. Terran ships formed up around the beacon, their weapon systems charged. Energy lines glowed across their hulls. The air around them shimmered with power. Relvac finally understood humans were not weak. Humans were not primitive. They were survivors fighting a war no one else had believed in. "Terran fleet," Ward commanded. "Target the beacon core." At that exact moment, the structure roared. A blast of red energy shot out like a flare. Drone swarms reacted instantly. Hundreds of them left the beacon surface and flew toward the Terran ships. Their movements were terrifyingly fast, like a cloud of metallic locusts ready to devour everything in their path. Relvac shouted, "They are attacking! Terran ships.